We've all seen how events are flashed around the world via Twitter or YouTube, whether it's about executive pay, employment conditions or issues of redundancy. The sheer power and force of social media means that companies that don't take social responsibility seriously risk damaging their brand in a matter of hours. By the same token, companies that embrace business practices can use social media to their brand's advantage. It's a fine line to tread, and to see whether companies can achieve it, we've come to talk to David Jones, CEO of top ad agency Havas and a man on a mission. As the author of Who Cares Wins, David Jones is well placed to explain the fusion of social responsibility with social media and how that translates to the bottom line. You advised David Cameron on his election strategy and developed Kofi Annan's Tick 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 campaign, raising people's awareness of climate issues, so you know how social media can change people's minds. Why is it so important that businesses engage with social media in a similar way?
I think very simply we're heading into what I call the age of damage, where if in today's world as a business or a leader you do not behave in the right way, people have been empowered through social media to sanction and punish you. And I think, whether you're the head of an Arab Spring country, whether you're the CEO of BP, whether you're News International, whether you're Galliano misbehaving, every week we're seeing a new example of people who don't behave in the right way being taken down and sanctioned through social media. And I think we're living in what I call this world of radical transparency. And if you want to do well in business in the future, for me, the new price of doing well is doing good. And if you do not do good, you will find it increasingly hard to do well. And what's actually happened is that social media has taken corporate social responsibility out of the silo and put it into the P&L statement.
We all remember the pressure that was put on Barclays Bank back in the 80s to pull out of South Africa during the apartheid regime. And that was very much a student-led protest. But it still took a long time. It took many months before enough of an impression was made on the bank to react. Today, companies don't have the same luxury of time, do they, to wake up and smell the coffee?
No, things happen instantly. What social media has done, it has given people the power to create these movements and to create them globally and to create them instantaneously. And there are numerous examples of companies who make the mistake of thinking something will go away and it doesn't. So, there's the FedEx example of the delivery person throwing the computer over the fence. Literally within a couple of hours of that happening, 8 million people had viewed that video. Look at, Coney from recently, 80 million people have viewed a film of over 30 minutes long. So, the new rules of social media are the same as the new rules of running a business for me, and that's transparency, authenticity, and speed. You need to act very fast, you need to be completely authentic, and you need to be, just incredibly transparent in everything you're doing.
How can social media be used to influence and change minds?
Companies need to have a plan. The scenario that I'd quote as an example is someone sitting in Heathrow, say Terminal 5, their plane's delayed and they're tweeting all about that. The plane company, the airline company needs to have an action plan, get onto Twitter, respond to that, apologise.
On the flip side, how can companies engage with social media on a positive note?
Okay, the good thing about social media is that we can actually work out who the key people are, who are most powerful on Twitter, Facebook, things like that. So we measure people's influence by their reach and the number of people that they can actually touch and how many people listen to them. Companies need to be aware who these people are and which of these people are interested in their brands, and they can then leverage that as part of their marketing strategies.
So for a company that's in its infancy as far as understanding and appreciating the essence of implementing both a corporate social responsibility policy and its practice, where should they begin?
I think the first thing to do is to put corporate social responsibility at the core of business strategy rather than to view it as a marketing tactic or to have a sort of siloed CSR division. People today want businesses to be more socially responsible, and that, if you want to succeed, that's what you have to do. And it's about, in the book I talk about what was the age of image, where lots of companies pretended to be more socially responsible because they thought it would help them do better. Then the age of advantage, where actually competitive advantage was being driven by companies such as, for example, Walmart, who set out to be more socially responsible, and today the age of damage. But I think the first thing is put it at the core of business strategy, and the second thing is that the motto of under promise and over deliver is critical. Don't overstate what you're doing, and don't try and make a bigger thing about what you're doing than it actually is.
In your book, you introduce the social business idea. Tell us more about that.
Very simply, if you draw two circles, I mean, I love Venn diagrams. If you draw a Venn diagram and one circle is making money and the other circle is doing good, the social business idea sits at the intersection of that. And really what it's about is finding the core mission behind the company and the business that is the mission beyond just profit. People understand, and even young people today understand, business needs to make money. Look at the mess we're in economically in Europe at the moment because of the lack of growth. But people just believe that companies and businesses can make money in the right way. So, what is your purpose beyond just profit?
You've stated that young social entrepreneurs have a lot to teach big business leaders. In what way?
I mean, I think this generation of young people is unique, and actually I co-founded something called One Young World, which brings together 1,300 brilliant young leaders from 175 countries around the world. The councillors are people like Kofi Annan, Desmond Tutu, Mohammed Yunus, Bob Geldof. And they're an amazing generation, and they understand more about the digital and social revolution than anyone. And I think if you look at the businesses they're founding today, they're based on a much more open and collaborative model. I'd argue that had Zuckerberg set out to make money with Facebook, it would probably be a relatively small proposition today, whereas in reality, the fact he didn't try to make money out of it is why 800 million people are using it. And I think probably the biggest difference is if you look at the senior business leaders, the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gateses, they made all of their money and then actually have set about giving it away. Whereas these new social entrepreneurs, their start point is actually not about making money, it's about doing good from day one.
What about sustainability versus profitability? Let's have some idea of new ways in which businesses can operate along sustainable lines without foregoing growth and gain.
I mean, I think two things. I think the negative side of it is if you do not behave in the right way, people will not buy your products. And I think, we've seen examples. Nike back, 20 years ago is one of the most interesting examples of the issues they ran into with the factories and production side of things. And that's what the age of damage is all about is, if you want to succeed, people want business to be more socially responsible. Therefore, you need to behave like that if you want to be successful. So that's the sort of, if you like, the negative. On the positive side of things, and look at Walmart, who've probably done, I know they've had some issues around employment issues, etc., but and the way they treat their employees, which date back historically. But if you actually look at what they've done to re-engineer not just their supply chain, but America's supply chain, if you reduce the amount of packaging, you reduce the amount that you have to ship around, you reduce transport costs, and they quantified something like $250 million worth of savings that had come from those kind of initiatives. So, saving money and saving the planet do not need to be mutually exclusive.
David Jones, Chief Executive Officer of Havas and author of Who Cares Wins, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.